Good morning. My name is Cruz León Luis Enrique of grade 3, group 3 of Escuela Normal de Omeca Meca. My teacher is teacher María Guadalupe Sánchez Córdoba, teacher of my subject Fundamentos Metodológicos de la Investigación. This is my research project, was development of motivation through reading activities. This document aims to foster the motivation in second grade students at Jose Ortiz de Dominguez High School, secondary school in Ozumba, State of Mexico, by using engaging and active readings to encourage interaction in English. It emphasizes the importance of reading as a tool to learning English as a second language, considering the context, the students, their interests, and the advantage and challenges to implement this approach. Okay, this was observed in a semi-urban setting. The study addressed the need for students to practice English autonomously and dynamically, both inside and outside of the classroom. It highlights how motivational activities can replace traditional methods, enabling students to actively improve for reading skills. Additionally, it stressed the role of teachers in training to implement strategies to overcome barriers, such as the done use of digital resources to promote a second language acquisition effectively. Well, for my research question, this is my research question is how is the development of students at the moment to use motivational and interesting activities to reinforce reading skill? Well, for this, my topic to relate this question was development of motivation through reading activities. The purpose of this is to describe the development of the using reading activities to reinforce the reading skill in an English class for second grade students for my group E at Jose Ortiz de Dominguez Secondary School, located in the Ozumba, State of Mexico Center. This was my objective to develop my research question. That is was the influence of motivation using interesting readings, promote interaction among students and interesting topics through reading skills. Also, identify what strategies or methodologies to implement to encourage the use of reading skills. Also, to analyze how the interest activities can motivate students to practice reading English autonomously and actively. And the last one is evaluate the developing on reading activities and active participation in English classes. Well, one of these justifications to base my research project was because I consider improving reading skills in second language education can be challenging, particularly when students have a lack of motivation with comprehension, in this case of reading. This research explores how motivational activities based on students could be the interest can make reading more engaging and effective. During my observations in English classes, I became evident that grammar, for example, listening and writing were prioritized, while reading was only implicit addressing. Students say to me that her teacher only give understanding text and resources like short books of English. So I consider for this group was identify and having a visual and auditory learning style. So why don't taking out these efforts and carry on, for example, in making a reading ideal skill to develop? The purpose activities aim to turn into an active and interactive experience, encouraging students to share ideas and opinions to a deeper comprehension in this case, by connecting reading tasks to their interests and present them in a fun and dynamic way. This approach seeks to transformation reading from passive skill into engaging, enjoyable one for students. Now, the question to be answered according to my research was we have 5 questions. The first question was how do emotions influence to my students the use of activities when reading in English? The second was what types of interaction occurs between students when they practice reading in English? The number 3 was what challenges do students face or present while using activities to improve their written reading in English? The number four was what strategies or methodologies do students find most attractively for engaging their reading skills through interesting activities. And the last one is how does the use the little books, in this case short text, impact to my students, for example, the motivation or engagement in developing their reading abilities. In the case of in the instruments to collect data, is to better develop reading skills. I incorporate a various data collections tool to support the learning process from different perspectives of point of view. The observation guide helped me determine the number of students, the gender distribution, the general learning style of the group, and the materials used in English class and the available resources. The practice and my journal, in this case, serve as a tool of document to details of what was proposed on carry on during my English classes. It allowed to me to analyze what worked, what didn't, and what could be improved. For example, specifically focuses on reading activities in this case. Surveys we use to explore students' their interests and preference, and particularly their views on reading in English and their perception on the class activities. Interviews also provide individual insights into how students approach learning in English class. Audio and video recordings from my teaching practice help me identify their strengths in this case. And in this case, when I observe, when I base all my all my research project in a theoretical framework. In this case, my theoretical framework was, in this case, of reading. The connection between reading skills and students' interest is in sessions. For example, students engage in activities related to their personal interest. Their motivation increases, improving their ability to understand and process text. Authors like, in this case, Guti and Whitfield in 2000 highlight the interest in the specific topics enhancing reading performance, and how interesting level appropriate text can boost in motivation and linguistic skills, showcasing the importance of linking reading activities to student interest. This is in the case of reading. In the case of motivation, well, motivation plays a crucial role in a second language acquisition. Teachers influencing how students engage the reading activities. Brahms' inspection theory, in this case in 1964, explains that students are motivated when they believe their report will lead to good performance. And this performance will be rewards. So for this applied to my students in English classes, will be more motivated and if we see benefits for their efforts in this case. And suggest that teaching strategies with students can be improved motivation with reading comprehension in this case. By the other hand, a strategy actively strategy, sorry, involve engaging students directly in their learning process through methods like group discussions, problem solving, and project-based learning. For example, collaborative text analysis and group discussions enhance comprehension and critical thinking in second language learning. Um, this methodology, in this case DBL, design-based learning, explains how it integrates reading with creative outputs like, for example, creating multimodal products like videos, blogs, conversations, interviews, encouraging students to interact deeply with text. Well, this approach promotes skills such creativity, collaboration, and communication, such are vital for learning and second language. Um, In summary, for this research, I consider that reading activities linking to the students improve motivation and comprehension. In this case, motivation theories such as Bloom explains how efforts, words, and value influence engagement. Activity strategies like group discussions or, for example, communication with other students could be encouraged deeper interaction with text. Fostering critical thinking, in this case, creativity and collaboration will engage in reading skills and motivation. So the last one for this video is consider if my methodology for applying this research works. I consider that it works very well because my students, I identify my students very motivated to understand what's said into the text and share with other students about their comments or ideas or little short text to is more engaging for theirs. So I consider this research was very successful for me, but is complicated. In this case, the rhythm of the classes, for example, because my reading of the classes was very interesting and motivational for theirs. So my students, uh, they're used to work, for example, in a passive way, and just reading and answer worksheets. So mm, my strategy, my development through reading activities in a motivational way changed completely their style of the classes. So it's complicated at first, but if you consider taking count your lessons during your weeks, in this case reading activities based on this strategy, I consider could be improve your teaching classes. So this is all for me. Thank you so much for listening to me.